Alright, so I just got back from GP Bikes and finally got this 2019 Monkey on the Dyno. I wish I'd done it when I first started with the bike. Honestly, when I first got the bike, I didn't plan on doing as many mods as I have ended up doing, let alone the ones that I'm planning on. But I figured at this point it was important to get a baseline on how much horsepower and torque this engine is making. So since I didn't do a baseline, I looked up a few different folks that had done it on their Grom. It seems like that engine which is the same as this engine, to the crank gets about 9 horsepower, and to the wheels it's making about 8 horsepower, and then torque somewhere between 7 and 8 foot-pounds of torque. The engine modifications that I've done on this bike so far are really just the cam, the intake, and the exhaust, and then the ECU tune for those 3 items from Cameron Jones Racing. All of the other modifications that we've done on this bike have been for rideability, things like changing the sprocket or taking out the oil spinner to help with how quickly the engine's spinning up. But those aren't things that actually affect the actual horsepower output from the engine, just improving rideability. And then obviously a lot of things on the bike are just about the aesthetic. But wanted to see where with those, again, intake, exhaust, and cam plus tune, how much power we were getting. So I went down again to GP Bikes. Guys there are super cool. They put the Monkey up on the dyno, and we'll cut to that right now. So the bike made pretty consistent power across the power band, peaking out at about 11.4 horsepower at, let's see, between 6 and 7,000 RPM, and had a max torque rating of about 7.5 foot-pounds of torque, peaking out close to redline, between 9 and 10,000 RPM. So again, assuming that the base wheel horsepower was about 8, getting it up to 11.38 is a pretty significant jump. 2 or 3 horsepower isn't too big of a deal on a bike like the ZX6R, where it's making 110 horsepower to the wheel. But for a bike as small as this, that's a pretty significant increase in power percentage. So from here, I've got a few other things planned, and I'm going to try to be more consistent with getting it dynoed after each one of those, just so that we can see some real-world numbers on how much more performance we're getting out of each install going from here. Again, pretty happy with the 11.38 max horsepower that this bike is now making to the rear wheel. So thanks everybody for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.